Hi, Bishop and I are out here walking the morning routine, and we're discussing what seems to be on a lot of people's minds, and that's racism. And Bishop, you just mentioned some things to me about the question that Jam was asking me is there racism in the church? And you're getting ready to do an interview with one of your pastor friends, Ron. Who is it, Ron?
Pastor Ron in Miami, Illinois.
Pastor Ron in Miami, Illinois, and I'm asked the question, was asked the question, is there racism in the church? And I asked it of Pastor Jones, and he said, what did you say, Bishop?
There are more in the church than any institution in America.
More racism?
Yeah, simply because the church is made up of more what we call conservative people. Two, the church is made up of more rural and suburban America. More rural and suburban America. And the third thing, the church, nobody holds the church accountable for its actions. Many
Okay.
churches have no African American speakers. Many churches don't support any Afro American causes. On. Nobody speaks to them about that. And so they, in fact, and the fourth thing, the church don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you don't talk about, allowed to run rampant without being dealing with it. So what we need to do, all of us, the church need to be conscious. Yes, there's racism. What can we do to deal or correct it? We can first of all start with including including Afro American causes in your support system,
Mm-hmm.
including Afro American speakers and singers, uh, and pastors need to lead. This is the problem. People follow leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and pastors need to lead. Most pastors don't have a friend of a different race. They don't have an Afro American friend on. They may have somebody they see at a meeting, something like that, and they speak to them, but that's no friendship. That's no relationship, and that kind of thing. And so, if we're to correct this thing, and we can, but anytime you get ready to correct something, it takes effort.
Effort. What kind of effort?
It takes effort. We have to be intentional.
Okay.
This is the thing that I'm dealing with people about. Be intentional. If you're not intentional, it is not going to happen. We got to admit that it's there. Then we got to be intentional in how we're going to correct it and that kind of thing.
And I was asked the question, or I'm going to be discussing the question about racism in the church. Um, and as you say, there is a lot of that, but a lot of people know that we are a part of a great church, the fellowship, the Assemblies of God. And when we first came in, when I first came in about 47 years ago, it was very difficult for me to be a part of that denomination because we were the piece of pepper in millions of grains of salt. And getting to know people, the struggle of trying to get to know people was not easy. And so, and having people know you and to trust people of a different race or a different culture. Um, my mom, she came from a culture where racism was um, much more prevalent. And I can remember her when we went into the Assemblies of God. She said, Kathy, she said, never trust a white person as far as you can throw them. Was she racist? She was being realistic of what had happened in her culture, how blacks had been uh,
Treated.
treated in her culture. But was she on the defensive? Yes. Did she want to make sure her daughter was protected? Yes. But those things are in our background. Those things are inherited within us. So, how did I feel when I went to this predominantly white denomination and then had to be the voice of the blacks there? It was very uncomfortable at first. I couldn't sing like them, didn't like their services, didn't like their preaching. We were um, used to more down home clapping. Even small things as clapping was a very difficult thing to adjust to, but we stayed in there. And I think that's the key, is that you got to stay in the fight. You can't give up the fight. When we started, blacks were less than 2% in the Assemblies of God. And we know now that that was an assignment that God had given us to work through the assemblies rather than working through our former
Denomination.
denomination. What do you think the statistics are now, Bishop, about the?
Oh, one in every and blacks are now the fastest growing.
Got to turn this corner here.
Blacks are the
Look at the
fastest
camera.
growing
Look at the camera.
minority groups in the Assemblies of God. One in five church members in the Assembly of God are black. That shows you the growth that has occurred over the years. But however, it could be much faster than that if 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 racism didn't exist in our churches. It don't exist in every church, but in our churches, where blacks can go, blacks tend to settle and become a part of something where they feel comfortable in.
Oh, that's good.
Where do blacks live? They live in big cities. Why is that? Because they feel comfortable in big cities, and they feel uncomfortable in cities where they're not received, accepted, and stuff. Like Springfield, the idea is a prime example of that. Less than 2% blacks live in a city like Springfield. Why is that? Because Springfield history of racism on and on. So there you go.
Right, right. And so one of the things that you would say we would have to do is that we have to stay in the fight. We can't give up. We have to be second. We have to be intentional. We have to see if what we're doing is going to make a difference. And it's important that in this struggle that we just don't do things haphazardly, but we do things that are going to make a difference. And I remember one of our superintendents had said when it came down to leadership in the Assemblies of God, black leadership on positions of importance, um, you couldn't expect the majority to vote for a minority because people vote for who they know. But you can make a difference by saying, let's change the game plan. And the district or the general superintendent helped to bring about a bill. Can you talk a little bit about that, where now we have to have blacks on the major council, executive board. We have to have blacks. We have blacks now in the Assemblies of God schools. We have blacks now. Speak on that, Bishop.
Yeah, well, because of the resolution that was started in St. Louis in 1993 that says there need to be a minority on all the district executive boards. So as a result of that, some districts started where they have blacks started voting blacks into their system. So that has really been a huge blessing, and that has made Florida is a good example of progress.
Okay.
Uh,
What
when
makes
I,
Florida a good example?
well, in 1984, I went to a district council in Florida. There was only two dark-skinned people at that meeting, me and another guy, Arlon, and as a result of us planting churches in the state of Florida, we've done 10. Florida has more minorities now than any district in America,
Wow.
and that speaks great. But you move right to Alabama, who has no blacks hardly, don't even have a black pastor.
In Alabama?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and no blacks on the executive president, simply because one district has chose to be intentional and be inclusive and reach out. The other have chose not to do so. So that's bad.
So, first of all, we got to get to know one another and we got to be intentional. And then we have to not forget, but we have to keep our past in perspective.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it. You know, I love my mom. I appreciated where she came from. But if I was going to make it in this particular environment that God assigned us to, I had to be um, purposeful and learn how to love and how to show um, direction also to those who were misdirected in their way of doing things. Well, Bishop, this has really been a good interview. I appreciate you doing it with me. For those of you who don't know, Bishop is the author of the Soul Winners Manual, and that's his heart. You can get it on Amazon.com or KAEDJ Publishing. He's a great preacher. He'd love to come out and minister on this subject and many other subjects. His favorite subject is winning souls, and he would love to come out and be a part of your service. And I think that's one thing he was saying earlier was you gotta exchange pulpits. You want to say just one more thing about that, Pastor?
Yeah, one, that's being intentionality. A year should not go by without not only Assembly of God Church, any church that are predominantly white, without
Or
having
predominantly black.
predominantly black, yeah,
Yeah.
without having somebody of a different race come into their church. That's healthy for their kids. That's healthy for their friends. Because the only way, what I tell people, one of the great problem we have in America, blacks and whites, we don't know one another. We don't talk to one another. We don't understand one another, and we don't fellowship with one another.
Mhm.
That starts that process. Don't end it, but it's a start. With that, we need to start. So
Yeah.
there's an old saying: "The journey of 1,000 miles start with the first step." That's the first step.
Right. So he's available. You can go to his puts the page People United to Save Urban America or PUTSUA to find out how you can book him, or you can call 773-233-2609. And the same goes for me. I'm an author. I also am the owner of KDJ Publishing. That's KAEDJ Publishing.com. You can go there and get my latest book on Kathy's Depression Concession Stand, dealing with all of the areas of depression, situational and clinical depression, and how we can help people, especially during this COVID-19, deal with that struggle of depression. And then also my music, Warfare Tears, and Everybody's Got a Daddy. So we want you to check us out, KAEDJ.com, and you can reach us at KAEDJ@MSN.com or Pastor Spencer Jones at Yahoo.com. And for now, we're signing out because I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of holding this camera in my hand and walking. But we love you, and we wanted to say that we believe the world can be a better place. Say goodbye, Pastor.
Yeah, goodbye. Thanks for the interview. Lord bless you. Be praying for it.
All right. God bless you.